not come between the Nazgûl and his prey.
Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Witch-King of Angmar in Historic Brawl. Now Witch-King is a 5-mana 5/3 flyer, and whenever opponent's creatures hit us, they have to sacrifice one of them and we get a Ring-Tempt. Also, we can discard a card to give it indestructible till end of turn. Now, as cool as the Witch-King is, that's not really the focus of this deck. The focus is the 9 Nazgûl. And of course, we got the 9 different arts for them. Now, the Nazgûl are 3-mana 1/2 Death Touchers. When they enter the battlefield, we get a Ring-Tempt. And whenever the Ring tempts us, we put a 1/1 counter on each Wraith we control. Now note, they each have this ability, so if there's 5 Wraiths in play, we get 5 1/1 counters on each Wraith we control. So they really start to snowball. And so the rest of the deck is to enable that game plan. So we have a bunch of ramp, we have a bunch of card draw, and tutor effects to try and gather as many Nazgûl as possible. Now they also benefit just from ring tempting in general. So we have some other Lord of the Rings cards that do that, such as Inherited Envelope, Call of the Ring, Sam's Desperate Rescue, things like that. So we're trying to turbo out as many ring temps. Plus we get value if we get all the way to level 4 of the ring. So it just gives us utility in game as well. Also want to shout out the card Black Market Connections as a synergy piece in this deck. Normally you're focused on modes 1 and 2 to get treasures and cards, but mode 3 is very good here because it creates changelings, which are wraiths, and they'll benefit from our many Nazgûl. So just a cool little interaction in this deck. And also note that this list is commander legal, so you can take it for a spin there if you'd like. Anyway, let's jump into some games, see it in action. Alright, and game 1 looks like we're facing Oya Minartok, Polar Werebear. Now this one is new for me, it's like an alchemy one, but it's conditional hexproof, hits a player, gets a food token, and you can sack a food to draft a card from its spellbook and do like a blue creature ritual. We're keeping this hand, looks decent. We got some ramp, we got a Nazgûl, about what we hope to see. Alright, opponent just plays and cracks Evolving Wilds. We're gonna slam Ornithopter of Paradise. Take it from there. Alright, explore, so opponents. The green deck is ramping surprisingly. Okay, so go ahead and play the Nazgûl. Would have loved like a 4-mana play, but Nazgûl's not horrible. Get the train going. Now, they have a 4-mana commander, but they didn't run it out, so it makes me a little worried about what they might have. So, luckily we have sort of just a tiny play, just playing Mindstone. Turns out it's Into the Royal, so they bounce the Nazgûl, but we honestly don't mind because it gets us another Ring-Tempt. And level 2 is where things really start getting going on the ring tempting. Now we get a loot upon attack. Okay, so the opponent's commander benefits from food tokens, so they'll be playing a lot of enablers. So they're playing some Lord of the Rings cards to help get food tokens. Let's see what our first loot gives us. I was about to pitch the Nazgûl because we can reanimate with no one left behind, but I figured might as well play it and reanimate it if necessary, like it gets killed, so no sense in pitching it right away. The opponent seemed very eager to chump block there and get the additional food token. But I mean, we're getting the Nazgûl train going, which is what we set out to do with this deck. And they get very explosive in high numbers. You could see already they just power each other up a lot. Would love a land here. That's unfortunate. So, Cling to Dust looks unlikely to matter this matchup. Alright, here comes the Polar Werebear. And we got to see it in action. So they're sacking a food token, and they're getting presumably a blue creature, as well as like a blue dark ritual for blue creatures. So Nadir Kraken and Nadir Kraken must have been the two creatures they drafted, so that's actually a big problem because now they can just camp on Nadir Krakens and make infinite chump blockers, so we're a little worried about that, but Liliana Dreadhorde General is an amazing draw right here because we're going to just trim their forces down while being sort of card neutral for ourselves. Blood on the Snow did cross my mind. Didn't seem like quite the right time for it though. So we're going to go ahead and minus Liliana. This will leave her vulnerable to like a counter, like a crackback from the Werebear. Yeah, and they sack their 2 Krakens, so we do get 2 cards for our trouble, but she is vulnerable. We really wanted to keep the Nazgûl around, so Liliana down. It just didn't seem like it was a good idea to let them untap with the Krakens. Giant opportunity. Okay, so that was a clutch spell for the opponent because now they're going to be able to go fishing. The polar bear is just going wild. Let's see what else they get. I mean, they've done it 3 times. They have 9 creature mana. Nezahal, the Primal Tide, is quite the catch. And Ruin Crab. And the rest of the mana disappears. So we have choices. Notice that we're on level 3 of the ring. Level 4 gets us some extra damage. Didn't want to commit to it because we had some high impact spells that are expensive. So could have fired off Sam's Desperate Rescue for like low value. Opted to not do that. And we gotta be careful because every non-creature we cast draws them a card off Nezahal. But Invoke Despair seems powerful enough to warrant, you know, the free card. Okay, so they sacrifice their commander. Nezahal is just really powerful to have in play, so they want to leverage that card advantage. Okay, Broker's Hideout, sacrifice it right away. I mean, we're feeling pretty good. We got these pretty massive Death Touchers, sort of taxed their commander a little bit. They did get some more food though. Lucamina Moon Druid, not familiar with her, and then smashing in for 7 damage, getting aggro with Nezahal. Grim Tutor could be useful. Now I have my eye on level 4 of the ring because that gets us an extra 3 damage if we connect. So once again, checking out the graveyard for Sam's Desperate Rescue. Honestly, think firing off Claim the Precious might have been better, just to clear the blocker out of the way. Nezahal is getting them some value, so we do have to worry about drawing them into a counter spell. The other thing about pre-combat Ring-Tempts is that it boosts the Nazgûls. So here we are attacking for 11 and pitch the land. Let's see, and the opponent chooses not to block. They do have that food token, you know, yeah, so they sacrifice Golden Egg to gain the life ahead of the Ring Drain. So stabilizing at 1, it feels like it'd be a really, really bad idea to let them untap. So decide, maybe to Grim Tutor something to kill them. Hopefully they don't have like a Pact and Negation or something. Now the question is, for 3 or less mana, what can we Grim Tutor to kill them? It turns out we have just the thing. Sign in Blood. Target them with the draw 2 mode. Nezahal is going to get another crack at maybe Pact and Negation, but that's it. Now, as we move into the next game, please frost links the like button, comment and subscribe. It supports the channel and helps me know what the people want. Thank you. Alright, this is a Lord of the Rings showdown. We're facing off against Shelob. Let's see who's the more powerful evil entity, Shelob or the Witch-King. Let's see how this hand treats us. Decide to hold up, go for the throat. Was an argument there for playing the tap land, Haggard Mauling. We get bogged for no value. go ahead and run out a Nazgûl. There is, you know, possible inherited envelope just to open up more mana for ourselves. Alright, Spider number 1 from the opponent, Hoarding Recluse. Has Death Touch, which is sort of annoying for us. Fire off inherited envelope. That gets us the additional Ring-Tempt. The powerful level 2 is unlocked. And decide just the Death Touch is going to be too annoying. It's a good removal target and allows us just to send in with the ring, send in with our Nazgûl. Now, Hagramalin's expensive, but it is a removal spell in case Shelob comes down soon, so opt to get rid of Sam's Desperate Rescue. They're not really good targets for it anyway. Ronus' money, but opponent, yeah. I guess they were very susceptible to removal and had already seen enough, so on to the next one. Etali Primal Conqueror is our opponent. Now, keep this hand. It's not the best. We do have a piece of removal. Shadow Spear, of course, is good. Extinction Event is really nice. So, there's some good things going on, but we don't have any ramp. Alright, so the opponent has Arcane Signet. 7 mana is the magic number for them, and that's where things get nasty for us. But we have Nazgûl number 1 to start the party. Let's see what else happens. Augur of Autumn. That allows them to possibly play lands off the top of their deck. Decide to fire off Dusk Legion Zealot. See what we draw into. A land. Now we could Diabolic Intent right away. I'm so paranoid about them getting to 7 mana that I fire off Go for the Throat, though I think it would have been better served using it on like a more guaranteed mana creature or something like that, because you can see the opponent follows up with Goreclaw, which would have been a much better target for our removal. So, regretting spewing off the Go for the Throat. Fire off Diabolic Intent here, and make a pretty big misplay. First of all, it's not clear what we should take, but I end up going for Black Market Connections because it gets us a bunch of changelings, aka ring wraiths. And I was hoping to just follow up with the Extinction Event, but I lost track of my mana. And I'm horrified here to realize that Goreclaw is going to survive and enable Etali next turn. So that was just a straight up mistake on my part. I also wonder if Cold Steel Heart here was a mistake, if we should have got Black Market Connections online. So, not good sequencing of plays or options on my part. And just a horrific for us, but very good hit for them. Grim Tutor is exactly what the Doctor ordered for their deck, so they'll happily cast that and get their best card. Goreclaw smashes our face, so Black Market Connections would have been tough to pay a lot of life with how much damage we're going to be taking, so... And unfortunately, Extinction Event can't hit both their creatures, so opt for just a Witch King. I don't play the Bojuka Bog because I'm anticipating having to pitch it to give Witch King indestructible. Opponent slams Primeval Titan into Domri. This is a little bit rough because Domri has on-demand fight. Yeah, so they're going to minus it to have the Primeval Titan fight. And this is why I held on to the land to have on-demand indestructible. So Witch King survives. And thankfully the Witch King's passive makes it tough for them to attack, so they opt not to. Extinction Events could be decent here. By naming even, we take out 2 of their creatures and 0 of our own. And we do have a removal spell, but honestly, the reason Etali is so tough to play against is that if you remove it, they're almost happy for you to remove it because they could just cast it again and get more free stuff. So it's a very tough one to play against. Great Henge is horrifying to see here because that's just going to keep the cards flowing for them. In original Etali, the Primal Storm hits the battlefield. The +1/+1 counter for good measure. And the opponent still can't really attack us because of Witch King's ability. decide to kill old school Tali just to try and, you know, stem the bleeding a little bit, but it's looking rough with Great Henge online and just so much mana available for them. We are able to clock in with the Shadow Spear and gain some life, and hopefully can leverage black market connections a little bit. Once again, holding the card in hand for on-demand indestructible. But they have the perfect answer right here. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger is gonna exile both of our best permanents and just completely neuter our game plan. So you could see me transition to triple speed here, because they're actually able to give Ulamog haste. They're able to nuke our library, and like, once again, we kill Atali, but to what gain? Because they can just cast it again and get more free stuff. So unfortunately we're dead. We're moving on to the next game, and it's another Atali. Okay, so we have a chance of redemption. Dark Ritual is nice, but it's not permanent ramp. Hoarding Broodlord is probably not going to be cast for quite a while. And a nightmare start from the opponent with the turn 1 mana dork, and we don't have a means to answer it right now. And already they get to spew out another mana rock, the Celestis. It's looking grim. I mean, we're going to try and slow them down right here with the Final Flourish, cutting down the halfling. But it's already done its job in like greatly accelerating them, so Lotus Cobra is also rough. Let's see if they can do anything with their mana. Wolf Willow Haven. Okay, so despite our best efforts, it looks like Atali's coming down next turn. I mean, that's just how explosive these decks are. So decide to use, you know, Black's way of turboing things out with rituals to get Witch King into play. But yeah. Opponent decides to play Key to the Archive though, so they're gonna get to pull something from its spellbook and have just a ton of mana next turn. So yeah, I think they were untapped land away from playing Atali last turn, so we get a little bit of a reprieve. Decide just to play as much mana rocks as we can, hoping to turbo ourselves to hoarding Broodlord and make something happen. But it's looking grim right now. Alright, here comes Atali. Let's see what they hit from each library. And really, really bad for us. So they get our Lolth and they get Outland Liberator. So, you know, getting opposing Planeswalkers has to feel so good. And they go ahead and cash in the Liberator right away to blow up our mana rock. Good choice because, you know, it gains Lolth loyalty and just sets us back. They're just trying to put us as far behind as possible, as fast as possible. Now, I attack Lolth right here. I think that's actually very ill-advised because they have the clean double block, so I'm forced to pitch a card for Indestructible. And they also restore loyalty counters to Lolth, which because of the extra one they got from the Liberator means that they're just gonna make the spiders next turn. So I think that was an ill-advised attack by me. Not very smart, but I was just trying to do something to their board. Mordor Muster into Nazgûl. We're very desperate here. Choosing the flying creature as a ring bearer, but honestly it's not going to matter because of the flyers. Or sorry, because of the reach spiders. Yeah, so they make new spiders.
Do what I demand.
Alright, claim the firstborn. Now they're going to try and leverage Witch King's triggered ability against us. So I'm forced to chump here, otherwise they'd be forced to sacrifice our Nazgûl and not give it back. So we would like to keep the Nazgûl alive. Vorn collects. That's tough. It gets them 2 more lands just to pay for commander tax for Atali in the future, but we're just falling miles and miles behind right now. They're able to fire off the Celeste just to get an extra loot effect. Yeah, there's pitching lands. Here comes Celestis again, just letting them filter their hand. Phyrexian Reclamation's not really going to do anything, so if we tap over creatures, we can convoke out Hoarding Broodlord, which is going to allow us to tutor something. And so I'm like desperate. I'm thinking that Blood on the Snow is probably our best bet to trying to claw back into this. I guess there's an argument for the One Ring also, but it seems like we're just way too far behind to try and play that. So opponent draws with Lolth.
Oh yes.
And they know we've just tutored a card with Hoarding Broodlord, so they make a very, very keen play right here, and they flip a Tali. And they also wisely attack with 2 creatures, so they have one to sacrifice to Witch-King. So I'm accelerating through this part because I'm very excited to cast Blood on the Snow. Here I am using Indestructible. However, I neglect to realize that the flip side of a Tali has Indestructible. So you could see me realizing with horror right now, it's still alive, and we are dead. So that's unfortunate, but... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Another Atali deck. Well, at least it's another chance at redemption, so... We're going to keep trying. I mean, they're just going to keep throwing Atali decks at us. We'll just keep playing them. It does seem like an extremely tough matchup. Like, unless you're able to remove the mana dorks at each step, I think it's pretty tough. I think blue decks have a much more favorable matchup. Just countering Atali a few times could really swing the game in your favor. But black, you know, you can't discard it from their hand. So the best you can do is kill their mana dorks. But their whole deck is ramp, you know, so it's not even always mana dorks. It's Cultivate, Wolfwillow Haven, you know, so. But anyway, we play Nazgûl. That's what we do in this deck. I'm looking at One Ring to rule them all and seeing that Chapter 2 destroys all non-legendary creatures, so have my eye on this. So this is an insane card right here, Cabaret Revels. It basically gives every creature, like, creature cascade. So it guarantees that it cascades into a lower mana value creature. So it's just an insane card. So every time they cast a creature, they get a free one out of their deck. Now we cast One Ring to rule them all. Honestly, we're not super concerned about a whole lot that it's doing. We do get a loot right here. Mainly, we're wanting Chapter 2 to fire off to destroy non-legendary creatures. But the worst possible thing happens. They cast Titan of Industry, and one of its modes is to destroy artifacts and enchantments. So we were counting on that going off. So it's pretty grim right now. We were, you know, that would have swung the game in our favor, and now the opponent has swiftly, you know, shattered our hopes. Next best thing, I guess, is to slam Cruelty of Gix right here. Now I'm just thinking about like what mode to choose, because it is a read-ahead saga. Decide just to go first with Chapter 1. Yes, we're very happy to take Chandra away from them. Our Death Toucher is going to do some good work, like just holding things back. But we're hoping Chapter 2 can save us. Alright, Cabaret Revels happens again to get a Mammoth, Battle Mammoth. And they get a Tali. Let's see what they get. Alright, Shadow Spear and a Beast Whisperer, which then cascades into those. So, you know, they just casually, I mean, they have 4 lands in play. Look at their board. Now they are able to really attack us, so we are going to get like an unhindered Chapter 2 Cruelty of Gix. And you probably already can tell what I'm going to grab. Thankfully we have land number 6, but this seems like a perfect Blood on the Snow situation. Unlike last game, none of their stuff has Indestructible. So we're going to play Takenuma and just slam Blood on the Snow. Conveniently, we have 3 snow mana, so we're going to get back a Nazgûl. And this feels so good. What was that, 9 or 10 creatures from the opponent down, and we get a Nazgûl back? Not only that, but we sent them back to the Stone Ages. They're nowhere near casting a Tali at this point. Ilharg the Raised Boar is a problem, especially because Cabaret Rebels is just insane. So that's why Cruelty of Gix, once again, just doing work right here. We're going to create a Rhino and definitely destroy Cabaretti Rebels. That card is going to win them the game unless it's dealt with. So we're feeling pretty good about that. Question is, what else do we play? Decide to loot first. Alright, we chip in for some damage. Ilharg is a little bit scary, but we know one of their cards is just a mana dork, so and Witch-King is going to give us some safeguard against that, so slam Witch-King, see what the opponent does. Primeval Titan, oh my goodness. Bad for us, but an incredible draw from the opponent, because that's vaulting him right towards Atali mana. And clutch Extinction Event. Extinction Event has been very good for us. So we do lose a Rhino token, but it's way worse than the opponent losing Primeval Titan. And we can go ahead and just whammy Ilharg right here with Drag to the Underworld. It is going to tuck itself third from the top, but we don't care about that. We just want it out of the way. And we're going to smash in for a ton of damage here, but it feels like we've turned the corner despite really good play from the opponent and like really strong cards from them. And they go ahead and play big Vorinclex, old school Vorinclex, which would be pretty annoying except that we just have them dead. I'm looking up like what to reanimate here, but they send it in, so we actually beat an Atali deck. It's a miracle. Now I actually played some other games afterwards, so I'm going to include a couple bonus 90-second recaps. So here we're playing Linvala. She cares about assembling a party of creatures. So we're going to be turboing through this game. Cruelty of Gix once again. Let's see what it does for us. Choosing chapter 1. And yeah, Boonbringer Valkyrie is like by far the strongest one in their hand. So this is a later turn. Venerated Loxodon's going to put one counter on each of their creatures. So we're almost facing lethal right there, but Cruelty of Gix saving the day once again. This is me looking at mana values and deciding Extinction Event is the way to go. Now Linvala can sacrifice to give the other creatures either indestructible or hexproof. So that's why I chose Extinction Event, and because we didn't have enough mana for anything else, but that's going to buy us a lot of time right there. Cruelty of Gix is going to get us the flying first strike lifelink angel. We slam Witch-King. Now they play like a party-themed Wrath right here. We can only keep the one party creature we have. So that's a pretty strong play by them. Later on we catch Witch-King again. But we pulled ahead far enough at this point. Their creatures are just not impactful enough against what we have going on. And the opponent's seen enough. And while we're at it, another 90-second recap. So this is another quick game against Joda the Unifier. A known powerhouse in Historic Brawl and Commander. So, opponent slams a Bard class, which permanently reduces Joda by 2 mana for the whole rest of the game. So, that's pretty rough for us. Once again, Extinction Event doing incredible work right here. Opponent slams Joda again. And we claim the Precious. And that's really how this game went. The opponent kept trying to land a Joda, but we kept killing it, not allowing them to get the cascading going. We kill God Eternal Oketra. This is another one that tucks itself third from the top, but we didn't care. We were pulling ahead. We just wanted to slam the door. Here comes Joda again. You can see we already have Bloodchief's Thirst waiting for it, so we're just trying to commander tax their Joda into oblivion. And once again, Cruelty of Gix, probably been like the all-star of this deck. Slam it, see if they have anything. They've been holding on to this Nissa to try and get the cascade value. So here comes Joda again, but they're running both of these right into Chapter 2 of Cruelty of Gix. So it takes me a second to choose what is the best card. Ultimately decide Liliana Dreadhorde General is going to be the strongest play. We'll have to play, we'll have to feed some of our creatures into it. But when we -4 her, it's just going to be back-breaking for them, and we're still going to have our Witch King in play. And so that's it. Alright, so that's Witch-King of Angmar plus the Nine Nazgûl in Historic Brawl. And we did pretty well. We won a lot. I think we went 5-2. And I did a little bit of departure in this video. Typically it's just 5 matches straight up. But I just kept playing this deck, and so I decided to tack 2 quick recaps at the end just because I kept playing it, kept winning, and thought those games were interesting. And really showcased the more of what this deck can do. But yeah, this is really fun. I really like playing the Nazgûl. It's unfortunate they're so expensive in paper, but I guess they're a little cheaper. Just cost some uncommon wild cards to play on Arena. Really think the MVP of these series of games is the Cruelty of Gix. Each mode was relevant. I mean, you can even choose which mode you start out on, but often it was just correct to just go through all 3 and just allowed us to break open some games in our favor. So really liking this card. I'll have my eye on this for future decks. But yeah, this list was just super fun, just a cool strategy. And unfortunately, in the process of playing this deck, I'd say like the coolest game I played was unfortunately cut short by an internet connection drop. And so I was playing against a green deck. We had a million Nazgûls out, and they had a skewed swarm, so they were able to just keep chumping, but we were able to just keep powering them up stronger and stronger and stronger. So we were like on the cusp of winning in like 1 or 2 turns. But the connection dropped right before we were able to like clinch the game. So I'm including some footage right here, just so you can see like this deck is capable of it, but unfortunately that game was sort of compromised, and so we stuck with what we had. But anyway, this deck is just super fun. And yeah, let me know in the comments who's your favorite commander to lead the Nazgûl. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.